Okay, I want to call the meeting to order. I believe we have quorum. Want to wish everybody a happy new year. We're having some technical issues with the Zoom call. The internet at DLNR is not working, but Wi-Fi is. The net effect of that is that people that are in the room with Poa'ena can hear us, but they won't be able to see us. But the audio is being broadcast over the speakers in the room, so there should be no difficulty in them hearing us. But just to let you know, we're having because of the internet being down, there is just a challenge in for the people to see who we are. But nonetheless, the Wi-Fi is allowing us to record the meeting, broadcast the meeting, as well as see each other here on the screens. So just as a FYI, that's what's happening. I'd asked one of the members who's not present about to do our opening protocol. So maybe because she's so good at doing things on the fly, Auntie Noi Noi will. Kia ora.
Kia ora, everybody. Welcome.
She's calling in from New Zealand.
Yes, I am. I'll be here for a couple more days. So, aloha, everybody, and glad to see we're all here and hopefully healthy. So we have good business to do today on behalf of the Mauna and behalf of the people. So I just want to give us some good thoughts this morning. And our thought this morning is about to remind us about our purpose and the reason why we're all here. And those of us who are logging on to listen today, our important work today, of course, in January is, can you hear me, John? I see you making, okay, yeah.
Let Laura do our
Oh, okay. Anyway, so I'm just
Yeah.
continuing, Laura. You can listen in. So our work today before us is on behalf of the Mauna and for the people and for our Aina, of which we are all committed to and we love. And so with that in mind, we will work together to do the best job that we can in our commitment to this authority, to the people, to Mauna Kea, to Aloha Aina, and to the principles that we stand on, which form our organization and for the future generations, the children and our grandchildren before us. So that's the wise words of the day as we enter into our business. And good to see all of you and look forward to having my feet back on Aina real soon.
Mahalo.
Mahalo, John.
With that, Laura, I ask you to provide welcome protocol or words of wisdom for us.
Sure. Aloha, everyone. I think this morning I'm just struck by, I saw John yesterday and we talked about kind of the flurry of work that the authority through the different pigs have been doing over the last few months with quite a bit of urgency. And so this morning I'm just struck by, I guess, taking a step back and looking at just the importance of the work. I think sometimes when we're in the details and planning timelines and looking at inventory and we're in the thick of it, and all those little things are very important. But if we can just all step back and just, I guess, really appreciate the moment and the kuleana. And I understand we are a state agency, but very much so the sacredness of our work together. And I just so appreciate that about this collection of people and this authority that we've held on to that or made sure to incorporate that into all of the little tasks that comprise the business of the authority. So mahalo, John. Mahalo, everyone.
Thank you for those words. With that, I wanted to confirm that everyone is alone in the room from where they're calling in from. Everybody can confirm that just by raising your hand. Thank you. With that, I understand there is no comment, pre-submitted comments on our agenda items. Buena, that's correct? Okay, thank you. With that, we're going to move to the approval of the minutes. We have a flurry of minutes. Three of the minutes, of course, are minutes where we went into executive session to do interviews of potential candidates. So they're pretty perfunctory. The other is the December 14th meeting that we have. So the first question is on the December 14th minutes. Are there any amendments or changes that anyone wants to propose? Not, if I could get a motion to approve that minute, those minutes, I guess.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. I'm gonna take, I think we talked to Ryan before that we can take the other 3 minutes, the 3 sets of minutes together via one motion. So if I could get a motion, well, I assume that there's no changes on those minutes. They're pretty, so if I could get a motion to approve the minutes of December 29th, January 2nd, and January 5th, and a second.
Yes, so moved.
And second.
Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. And at this point, a big thank you to Paul Anna, who put together those minutes and also facilitated the interviews. And all of that was done from Puerto Rico and while he was on vacation. So big mahalo to Paul Anna for all that he did. With that, I'm going to move to the chair report. And what I'd like to report to you all, and Laura, I'm going to ask you to add what you might, is that yesterday on your behalf, I attended a meeting, I guess a hearing of the Ways and Means Committee of the Senate, as well as a joint meeting with the Ways and Means Committee, as well as the Land and Natural Resources? Well, Senate Land and Natural Resources Committee. The purpose of the meeting was informational. We luckily followed Bonnie and the University of Hawaii in the meeting. So it's quite.
We read them out for you, John.
And indeed you did, because the report that I'm going to provide you is that we were supposed to be going over budget, but when we got called out of turn, we got advanced in the calendar. We're one of the first parts of DLNR that was asked to respond. And Senator Inouye started off by saying that she was against the bill that created us, and that she had deep concerns about turning over I'm summarizing what she says, turning over conservation and the aspects of conservation to the Mauna Kea Authority. And she believed and was going to introduce a bill that would put us back from a conservation standpoint under the Board of Land and Natural Resources. She also expressed concern about what she calls, and it wasn't really clear to me, what she called a lack of oversight over our budget and spending of our monies. And she kind of questioned the authority's accountability, I guess. And I guess she intends to introduce a bill that somehow provides more accountability and oversight over us. It may be that if you recollect that the original act exempted us from 2635, which is the statute which defines the relationship between an agency such as ourselves and the parent agency, which is the DLNR. She may be trying to reinstate that, but it wasn't clear to me. But she is quite adamant about bringing from her standpoint more accountability over us. And I'm not sure what the genesis, there was no specific action that we took or didn't take that was called out as a reason for concern about the lack of credibility. So I went up there and I basically kind of just, I didn't address that issue, but just told her exactly what and other senators in response to their question, what we had been doing and where we were going. But I didn't engage on that issue. So I don't know, Laura. Laura had a more calm seat in the back, where I was actually on the front line. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that report.
Sure, John. Yeah. I agree with everything you're saying. I think it's she did want oversight of attached agencies by, you know, the sort of the parent agency. Kaho'olawe Island Reserve Commission was brought up as another example of an agency that operates on its own and but is an attached agency to DLNR. And then there was some conversation of differentiating Kirk from Mauna Kea Stewardship and Oversight Authority due to the difference in budget, with Kirk having a much smaller budget. So I think that might be why she wasn't concerned about what she considered the lack of oversight there. And then I think it's a separate issue. I'm still trying to understand better the conservation conversation, I guess, because there's DLNR's power to regulate conservation or lands within the conservation district, which happens under DLNR's Office of Conservation and Coastal Lands. And then there's actual ownership of the land, and then there's on the ground active management of the conservation land. So I'm not sure between those three categories where her core problem lies, but maybe in a future meeting, it'd be helpful to have Office of Conservation and Coastal Lands just explain their role as regulator of conservation lands, and then their own understanding of how DLNR through the Office of Conservation and Coastal Lands will play a role, if any, in the lands that are to be under Mauna Kea Authority's jurisdiction. That would be my suggestion, to get their take on it, because they they're the office that has all of the Mauna Kea records online, and they're very familiar. So thanks, John.
Thank you. The other thing that you remind me is that there was also some conversation about the kind of the law enforcement aspect about citations and whether, you know, we have to make clear that the rangers have no citation authority. And she was asking about, I forget what the acronym is for your security people, but they asked her what their understanding was, and they said it wasn't clear. But my point was that that was something that had to be worked out, and that would be something of further discussion. But anyway, we sort of left it like that. Like I said, I didn't kind of engage in that conversation because for one thing, it wasn't really clear to me what was specifically being asked in terms of limitations on the authority of the authority. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments about that, but that would be what my chair report would be for this meeting. You can, if you want, they record all of those meetings, so it's a joint. Here yesterday, December 10th, I believe, it's a joint meeting, if you want to see it, between Ways and Means and the Senate Committee on Land and Waterland, I think it's called. If you want to see it, our portion is way in the beginning. Okay, with that, move to governance, nothing to report on governance. On administration, the first matter was that we created a PIG to talk about or to report on communication and community outreach. And at our last meeting, Laura provided us with a report of the recommendations as well as the conclusions of the PIG. As per the rules, we weren't able to have any discussion or ask any questions. So the first thing I wanted to do was to ask if anybody had any questions or comments. And then I'm going to kind of summarize what I think the recommendations are and ask for, after we have the discussion, what I think the recommendations are. And then ask that we hopefully vote to confirm those recommendations. So anyway, the first thing is, anybody have any anything they want to say or any questions to Laura about the PIG report? Okay, hearing none, what I'm going to do is try to summarize. I went through the report, and Laura, make sure that I'm doing this correctly. What I think the recommendations of the PIG were. First is to use the RFP process to hire a consultant or contractor to deal with both the communication needs and community outreach. And I'm not sure, we should kind of look into that, whether that's one or separate, maybe one or separate consultants, but nonetheless, getting an RFP out to hire someone or someones that can do those tasks. They also suggested that we have community talk story sessions, as well as having some of our board meetings in person and at various locations in the state. They suggest that that we have 4 in-community meetings on Hawaii Island to talk story in 2024, and 6 in-community meetings in 2025, with 2 on Hawaii Island, 1 meeting per island on Oahu, Molokai, Kauai, and Maui in 2025. And the idea surrounding that was to make sure that we're getting community, to explain again in further detail what we're doing, and then get community feedback and input from the community about what we're doing. There are 2 items. So that, Laura, I think summarizes the recommendations. 2 items that I was going to suggest that we defer on, that they sort of came up with a recommendation on. One is whether we fold at an appropriate time after we hire the consultants, whether we fold their responsibilities in-house to a communications state employee or an employee of us, and we collapse the contractor or the consultant. I'm going to suggest that we defer until we sort of get our feet on the ground in terms of organizational structure, to try to understand what we're doing organizationally. So that it's just a deferral of that issue. The second matter that they suggested is they actually gave us specific dates that they suggested that we have these in-person meetings. But I would ask that we sort of defer on specific dates, more for logistical reasons than anything else. We'll take those suggestions as, you know, big suggestions, but rather than having a formal board meeting, I mean, a formal board vote on specific dates. Let's use that as a sort of guidance, but let's not have a formal vote on those. So those are the 2 areas. So I don't know, Laura, if I've captured what you, so it's hiring the consultants, having specific number of in-community meetings in 24 and 25, and kind of understanding that the in-community meetings are to kind of talk story and gain feedback from the community.
Yeah, that's correct, John. And others on the committee, please weigh in as well or correct me. I think we didn't mean to lock us into particular days or particular terms for a consultant contract. We just wanted to give a general direction suggestion to the group, and agree with you on the once we got talking, then we thought about how helpful it would be eventually to have an in-house communications person, possibly in addition to an outside consulting firm. But I agree that that can come down the line, and we probably want the incoming executive director to have a say in all of that. So yeah, meant to be kind of broad, general concepts of communications moving forward.
Wow. With that, why don't we get, and we'll open it up for discussion, but can we have a motion to approve the recommendations that I set forward about hiring the consultants, as well as having these in-community meetings, the number, as well as the various different locations? Someone could move
I
to.
move.
Thank you, Paul. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, let's open it up for any discussion about those. Go ahead, Ben. Yeah, mute.
Okay. It may be plural consultants, because in my work on that kind of issue, they're generally public relations firms, which are more media oriented. And then there's community engagement or community relations people that actually go into the grassroots community to work on gathering input and also delivering a message. So they're not the same. In other words, there's some slough over between the two, but generally, at least in my area, we work with two, the community relations person as well as the PR person. So it might be more than one consultant. And then the second is that when you do engage the consultants, they may have their own recommendations to what the committee may want to actually do in terms of, the approach or the vehicles in which you communicate or solicit input from the community. That's all.
Well, nothing that we're voting on would preclude us from doing additional steps, is my opinion. That may be recommended by consultants. So good points. So it is consultants. It's not necessarily one consultant, and we can have, but we'll figure out how to discussion. I've actually started doing a search to help us identify scope to see what other departments in the state have done in other RFPs. So I haven't had time to really look into it, but I've found at least two other departments that try to hire communications people as well as community outreach people, just so that we can start pushing it through. We've also, Rich and I have had several meetings on a sort of different consultant issue with the DNR administrative folks to help us guide us through that process. Further discussion, questions?
I have a question for clarity, just to make sure I understand. The in-community talk story sessions would be separate from our monthly, so it's more about interfacing and engaging with the community more so than carrying on the monthly meeting business. So that would be in addition to our monthly schedule of public meetings.
That was one of the questions that the pig raised, whether or not we would consider, my recommendation is that we have separate meetings. I mean, they may happen on the same day, where we do the board meeting now, and then one of the suggestions of the pig is that we do these in-community meetings later in the day or in the evening to allow for more participation by the community. So it may be that we have the board meeting like we do now at this time, and then 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever, 7 o'clock, we have in-community meetings be separate.
Okay, thank you. Got it.
Yes. And, you know,
I just have a comment. Thank you, John and Laura and the committee for your work. I want to just make a statement because this is a public meeting to let everybody know how important it is that we have good open communication with our communities, not only here on Hawaii Island, but throughout the state. And whether it's just via Zoom or via our website, that all of the people no matter where they're situated, who have concern and aloha for this place in Mauna Kea, specifically have access to this information and know what we're doing and have the ability to provide feedback to us as well. So this, although in some respects, it feels like we're slow to get moving, I think all of us on the authority understand and believe that our ability to work with community and provide two-way communication and feedback is really of highest importance. So mahalo to the committee for your work. Thank you.
you. Other comments or discussion? If not, we have a motion and a second to adopt most of the recommendations as I outlined earlier of the PIG. So all those in favor, raise your hand, please. Any opposed? Thank you. Unanimous. Okay, thanks again to the PIG. We have a lot. Somebody was harassing me yesterday saying that we have more pigs than any other organization in history, but that's okay. We're moving
Thanks
forward.
for a great luau, John.
Yeah,
Gonna have one big one.
yeah. Yeah, when we hit 1 year old, we're gonna make the kind of first baby luau for ourselves. They will cook all of our pigs. Mahalo to everybody for all the hard work that you're doing. So information on terms of the transitional working group and coal management working group, unless somebody has a big heartache about it, I want to on the coal management group, remember that's a group where we are meeting with the UH regions. I'd like to appoint myself and Noi Noi as our representatives. And then for the what we call the transition working group, which is the idea that Ben came up with the inventory and how we actually transfer assets. I was going to appoint Ben and Paul Horner on that committee. Both of those committees have the leeway to involve all of you if they think that your subject matter or your particular area would be helpful. So it's not limited, but just to have some structure, that's what we're going to do. Anybody have any questions or any concerns about the appointment? Okay. Thank you. Nothing operational, like Laura mentioned, we're doing a lot right now. All of you are doing a lot. So there's no real operational update. I mean, from our standpoint, but we're going were you able to kind of give Greg the link to come in?
Yeah, I did email Greg the same, what is
Yeah.
it? I need to look and see if oh, here he is.
Okay.
Chair, if I might, maybe I missed it, but I think we just skipped over finance, and for the purposes of the minutes, maybe just note it. That's all.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Greg is joining us via Zoom also, and is going to provide an update operationally about what CMS has been doing.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, John. Good to see everyone.
Greg.
Just have a few things to cover this month. First item up is, as is typically the case at this time of the year, weather has been the predominant operational issue in the last month. We've had to close the road on numerous occasions, and a couple of power outages. The most recent was on Tuesday. This morning, the winds are being reported as sustained winds in the 75-mile-per-hour range with gusts to 86. So the road is closed, and the day crews, the observatory day crews, are evacuating, or at least several of them have evacuated. Maybe in some ways more problematic is oftentimes when we have these power outages, our communication network is disrupted. And that communication network is maintained and operated by the university. So because of the outage on Tuesday, which lasted about 6 hours before it was restored, when it came back on, the network was disrupted, and we still do not, as of a little while ago, have internet service to our mid-level facilities. And one of the problems or challenges with that is, as a result, our ability to process transactions and really to service the visitors at the visitor information station is extremely limited when the internet service goes down. I did just get word that internet service is now back up at the mid-level facilities, so that's good. But this is the sort of thing that happens often, unfortunately, during the winter months, and something that the authority will have to be aware of in terms of how the network is maintained. The second item I had was I wanted to give you folks an update. I have on the work that we've been doing on collating our inventories. I have been in email communication with both John and Ben about this. Let me get my notes here. So the department managers who are working on the inventories for their various sections are at varying stages of completion. Our administrative group has completed their work on all of the list of furniture, fixtures, that sort of thing, and are near completion on their gathering together all information of our existing service contracts and agreements, various agreements that we have. The visitor information station inventory is completed. That inventory is usually kept very, very current just because of the nature of that retail operation. And our resource management area is complete or nearly complete. I think there are some additional work that Justin was doing on making sure we have a complete list of all of the research permits that are in place. Utilities and food and lodging are having a hard time just because they have larger amounts of stuff to account for, as well as there have been some staffing issues, as well as vacations during the holidays and everything. But we estimate that they're about 50% complete. The managers have a deadline of next Wednesday to complete their respective sections. The biggest outstanding matter is inventory of all of the facilities. Both Nahua and Stuart Hunter, our former general manager at the support services, spent 2 days over the holidays at IFA tracking down all of that information. Stuart is preparing a report that will also include a listing of deferred maintenance issues associated with those facilities. As I've mentioned, to Ben and John, once we've completed everything, our Office of General Counsel wants to do a review of all of this work before to ensure that it's complete and accurate. So we hope to start our internal review by the start of February, if not sooner. I still have not, on the matter of who the UH representative on this long-term working group will be, I still have not heard back from Alapaki. So I will try to track that down as soon as possible. And then the last item I had was just an update on some of our education and outreach activities. There are several activities planned for January and February. We will be hosting the Rotary Club Youth Leadership Camp on February 16th and 17th. This is something that they have done annually. Usually they do it at KMC, but this year they wanted to change things up and asked if they could do the camp up at Halepohaku. So we're working, our folks are working with their leadership group. They have a whole curriculum that they do with their attendees, and we'll support that with some additional training, education, and then they will also be doing some service work out in the field. February 24th and 27th, we are hosting the First Nations Futures Program, FNFP. This is a partnership between Kamehameha Schools, Stanford, and I believe Guam is now involved, as well as Aotearoa. This is a program that's been going on for a while. Great program. I know that Kamana and Noi are familiar with it. So we're excited to host them this year. They'll be up, as I said, at Halepohaku the 24th through the 27th. We have a community stewardship service project scheduled for January 13th. We'll be we have a group of volunteers from Pacific University who are going to be coming and working with our team out in the field. And then on January 28th, as Rich knows, the Mauna Kea Observatories will also be doing a community stewardship service project. So a number of things going on in the next couple of months. Hopefully the weather holds up and they'll be able to help us out in the field with some of our Malama Aina activities. We look forward to these opportunities to engage the community in different ways. So that completes my operational update for this month, John. Is there any questions? Happy to take any questions.
Any questions from members?
Greg, this is Doug Adams. Thanks so much for that. Just checking, I haven't seen anything. Has there been any type of, given the weather situation up there, been any type of, leakages or any other type of maintenance issues that have popped up?
No, have not.
Great. Can I get a quick, yep, sorry, this is Kamana.
Yeah,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Just a quick question, just from wondering how on the ground management this happens and have some past experiences. When you guys are closing down the roads, it needs to happen for safety. And then when they reopen, like there's been times I've been up there and heard from community members, the road's been closed to community, but you see the observatory vehicles kind of driving up and down. And in terms of 7-1, cultural access and these other issues, what's the filter when telescope vehicles are going up, but community is not up for 7-1, or how do you guys manage that?
That's always a bit of a challenge for lots of different reasons. But at the end of the day, if someone, a cultural practitioner, insists on going up, what our rangers have, and it's the conditions are unsafe, what our rangers have done is try to support them by going up with them. Additionally, when the road is closed, there have been instances when people go up disregarding the roadblock, whether our rangers are there or not. And there's nothing that we're going to, it's not like we go and chase them down or anything like that. We try to give people the information they need, but people will make their own choices. So it's handled in a variety of different ways, and it's not a perfect system, but as Rich knows, the observatories have training and the equipment to navigate those kinds of conditions when they go up to maintain the equipment and address those kinds of issues. So I don't have a good answer other than, we try to work with the situation as best as we can when those situations do arise.
Other
And I'll
questions?
just give
Go
you
ahead.
my perspective from the observatory side is with regard to like what Greg was saying about equipment, where our vehicles are equipped with tire chains. And when the weather is bad, we'll carry two-way radios so we don't lose track. And we try to tend to, as best we can, travel in caravan form. So there's not like a single vehicle out there that could get stranded. And also the other safety aspect is the vehicle counters. So the observatory vehicles have a RFID tag pasted on the vehicle. And so we can monitor, like if we know the crew has left the summit, say they're coming down in bad weather, we can log the time at which they cross the Halipuhaku sensor so that we know they got down safely. Otherwise, there's all the cell phone and stuff. Our primary thing is around safety of the people. So I think as we think about the future and access during weather, I don't, think it should be necessarily exclusive to one group over another or whatever, as long as we can do it safely and keep the people safe. So that's just my perspective.
Yeah, thanks for the context, Rich. Sorry, I wasn't trying to paint a totally adversarial situation or anything. It just was more information wise. And yeah, I get it. So thank you guys.
Other questions for Greg? Not, mahalo, Greg. Thank you for your report. Thank you.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Great.
At this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session to deal with two matters. One is legislative agenda, and the second is the hiring of an executive director. So if someone could make the motion pursuant to the specific wording in our agenda.
Yeah, so moved.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
All right. It's been moved in second to go into executive session. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, unanimous. With that, Anna will put us into a separate room.
Okay. All right, you folks. About that time, this executive session is probably going to be kind of long because there's personnel stuff when we're discussing executive or the ED. So this one might run kind of long. The only announcement after is the next meeting, and that the legislature opening is next week. You folks are welcome to come back afterward, but this one's going to be a long one. I can tell you that now. The next meeting is
February 8th.
yeah, the same second Thursday of the month. I don't know the date.
So February 8th. February 8th is the next meeting.
Okay. February 8th.
And when we talk the announcement, I'm going to suggest that we, as many of us as possible, attend that in person and do an in-person meeting. Okay, we're back in regular session. As noted on our agenda, we talked about the legislative agenda and the hiring of a executive director. With that, the announcements are that the legislative opening day, again, for those who are able to make it January 17th, let me know if you're gonna make it and maybe we can figure out how we can collectively. You're gonna be here, Doug? Okay, Noi, Rich, okay. But anyway, so if you come and we'll figure out how we can move around at least temporary, for parts of the day as a group, well. Second thing is our next meeting, our regularly scheduled meeting is scheduled for February 8th. Again, if possible, I'm going to suggest that we do as many people as can via in-person meeting on February 8th. Yeah.
Is it gonna be in Hilo? Where's the meeting gonna be at?
In Hilo.
Okay.
Okay, with that, I seek a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate all you guys. Thank you. Mahalo.